back to the BCC meeting here in Seminole County. It is June 11th, 2024. We are going to convene our afternoon session of the public hearing, and I'll look for proof of publication acceptance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, carries unanimous. Any commissioner that has any ex parte disclosure, please name such and how it may have been submitted.
I have emails, phone calls that have all been submitted electronically.
Commissioner Laurie?
Everything we have has been submitted digitally and electronically.
Sherlock Hart?
I had ex parte on item number 41, and that was meetings and phone calls.
Okay. Commissioner Constantine?
Yes, I've submitted them electronically. I only had a phone call on the boat ramp.
Mine has been submitted electronically also, and correspondence only on item number 41. Okay, with that said, I'm going to ask the county attorney, Ms. Kate Latour, to read into the record the public participation rules.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision in quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent, substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present that is presented by county staff, that the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of proceedings and official minutes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Latour. Appreciate it very kindly. For those here that are wishing to speak or make public comments, make sure you fill out one of these forms. If you want to speak, fill out the yellow side. If you want a written comment to be submitted into the record, fill out a green portion that are located in the lobby. You can then give them to the board clerk here, Ms. Dominique, with her hand up. I will caution you, if we do not have your speaker form by the time the item comes before us, we will not be accepting those afterwards. So we were going to move on to item 41, which is the Lake Emma Self-Storage Small-Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment and PD Rezone, item 2024-0674. Our staff will first present. The applicant, if they desire to make any comments, will be invited to do so. Then we'll go to public input. And if the applicant desires to have a rebuttal, we will entertain that as well after public comment. And the first presentation is Ms. Joy Giles.
Yes, good afternoon. Joy Giles, Principal Planner for the Planning and Development Division. The applicant is requesting approval of the Lake Emma Self-Storage Small-Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment from commercial to plan development and rezone from C2 retail commercial to PD plan development on approximately 1.26 acres located on the east side of Lake Emma Drive, approximately 250 feet south of Lake Emma Boulevard. The subject site is currently developed as a retail commercial center in compliance with the existing commercial future land use and the C2 zoning district. The applicant proposes to redevelop the property from the 15,000 square foot multi-tenant commercial center to a self-storage facility with a floor area ratio of 1.96 and a maximum building height of 50 feet. The Seminole County Land Development Code classifies self-storage as an industrial use, which is not permitted under the existing commercial future land use designation. The commercial FLU has a maximum FAR of 0.35, and the industrial future land use designation has a maximum FAR of 0.65. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a future land use amendment to plan development, which allows for a variety of intensities and uses. The site is located within the Lake Mary Boulevard Gateway Corridor Overlay. The purpose and intent of the overlay is to provide for uniform design standards to establish high quality and well-landscaped development, prevent visual pollution of building heights that may not be compatible with the surrounding character of the development, and maximize traffic circulation functions from the standpoint of safety, roadway capacity, and vehicular movements. The overlay restricts the maximum building height of all structures to 35 feet and requires a minimum 15-foot wide landscape buffer along the west perimeter adjacent to Lake Emma Road, with specific buffer components, and also requires a minimum 50-foot building setback. Due to site constraints of the existing retention pond and the cross-access easement to the property adjacent to the north, the applicant is requesting a variance from the overlay requirement of the 15-foot wide buffer. The applicant proposes a 5-foot wide buffer adjacent to Lake Emma Road, as well as providing for additional planting areas adjacent to the building and the parking lot area to provide for approximately 2,775 square feet of buffer area, which is equivalent to the required 15-foot wide buffer adjacent to Lake Emma Road. The applicant is also requesting a variance from the maximum building height of 35 feet to allow for a building height of 50 feet. The applicant initially proposed a building height of 60 feet. However, during staff's review, the applicant, was amenable to a building height of 50 feet. However, the proposed building height still exceeds the maximum allowable of 35 feet per the overlay. The applicant's justification statement for the increased building height of 50 feet references 3 existing commercial establishments for comparable building heights. The Topgolf Entertainment Establishment, which is approximately a quarter-mile south of the subject site. The Academy Sports Retail Store, which is located in the shopping center directly behind the subject site. And the Hyatt Place Lake Mary Hotel, located approximately half a mile west of the subject site. Staff has evaluated the justification statement and has determined that the Topgolf facility is under the City of Lake Mary's jurisdiction and is not located within the corridor. The Academy Sports Retail Store has a maximum building height of 35 feet. However, there is a parapet that extends that and reaches a maximum of 44 feet. The Hyatt Place Lake Mary Hotel was approved in 1993 with a building height of 45 feet, which was 3 years after the overlay was adopted. The hotel was considered to be compatible due to its proximity to the I-4 ramp. The development proposes to utilize the existing access onto Lake Emma Road, which is classified as an urban major collector. Public Works does have concerns about the existing access in relation to large moving trucks and trailers successfully maneuvering in and out of the site. If the proposed development is approved by the board, the existing access and median will be further evaluated to determine if the left turn median cut will need to be removed or redesigned to channelize traffic flow. The comprehensive plan sets forth criteria to evaluate proposed future land use amendments for compatibility. The criteria include whether the character of the surrounding area has changed enough to warrant a different land use designation and intensity. The surrounding area along Lake Mary Boulevard from I-4 to Reinhardt Road primarily consists of office and retail commercial. Can you forward it to the other slide or more after that? Oh, I'm sorry, back up a little bit. Forgive me, I just want to make sure the correct slide is up. Here, I'll take that. That one right there, thank you. Okay. The surrounding area along Lake Mary Boulevard from I-4 to Reinhardt Road primarily consists of office and retail commercial development located in unincorporated Seminole County as well as the City of Lake Mary. Seminole County's commercial future land use permits a maximum floor area ratio of 0.35 and does not permit industrial uses such as self-storage. The Seminole County Land Development Code sets forth criteria for approving planned developments. The proposed development must be consistent with the comprehensive plan and effectively implement performance criteria contained therein. In addition, it must be determined that the proposed development cannot be reasonably implemented through existing provisions of the Land Development Code, and that the PD zoning would result in a greater benefit to the county than development under conventional zoning. While the proposed development meets the minimum required open space of 25% for the PD zoning designation, and a proposed building setback is in compliance with the overlay, the master development plan has not demonstrated how the PD results in a greater benefit to the county than that developed under a conventional zoning district. The proposed 5-foot wide landscape buffer along Lake Emma Road does not meet the minimum 15-foot wide buffer required by the overlay. The proposed building height of 50 feet is not in compliance with the overlay. The proposed floor area ratio of 1.96 is much more intense than the surrounding commercial developments with a maximum FAR of 0.35. And the industrial use of self-storage is not consistent with the surrounding established commercial uses. In conclusion, staff finds that the requested future land use map amendment from PD and PD rezone to be inconsistent with the comprehensive plan policy Fluid 2.9, determination of compatibility in the planned development zoning classification, and inconsistent with the Seminole County Land Development Code, Plan Development Section 30.443 review criteria, as well as inconsistent with the Lake Mary Boulevard overlay standards. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on May 1st, 2024, and voted unanimously to recommend the board approve the request, with the request that staff and the applicant work together to determine some buffer alterations. Staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners deny the requested small-scale future land use map amendment and concurrent rezone as per the following. Based on staff's findings and testimony and evidence received at the hearing, the board finds that the request does not meet the identified portions of the comprehensive plan and moves to deny the requested small-scale future land use map amendment from commercial to plan development. Based on staff's findings and the testimony and evidence received at the hearing, the board finds that the request does not meet the identified portions of the Seminole County Land Development Code and moves to deny the requested rezone from C2 to plan development and deny the associated development order and master development plan. Thank you.
Any question for staff at this point? Seeing none, is the applicant here and desire to make a statement?
Yes, Chad Moorhead, Madden Moorhead and Stokes. I have a little presentation I'd like to do. It's it's going to be repetitive a little bit from what Joy just did.
Can you get it done in 3 minutes?
Be close.
Okay.
I'll speed through the
Chairman.
repetitive part.
Chairman, this is the applicant.
Understood.
Yes, yep. So I will, Chairman, I'll go as fast as I can. Okay. So this is our master development plan. You guys have it in your package. You've seen it. This is our building. Again, we went back and forth a few times. We submitted originally in March of last year, resubmitted in August still with the 5-story, 60-foot tall building, resubmitted again in September, still didn't get any warm fuzzies from staff, so I think we sat on it till after the holidays, came back with the 4-story building, submitted in March. Same comments, still couldn't get staff to recommend approval. April came around, same thing, so we decided to push it forward to you guys without the recommendation for approval. So we've been at it for a little while. How can I zoom in on this? We can zoom in. Okay. Want to zoom in. This is the actual, and I'm sorry, I've got my pointer, I can point. I know you guys are looking at different screens, but this shows our proximity to Lake Mary Boulevard. The 320-foot line is right here. As you can see, we're very close to not being in it. We don't access Lake Mary Boulevard. Therefore, we feel, you know, us being held to the Lake Mary Boulevard corridor overlay requirements is, I don't want to call it a stretch, but it's definitely within the code, but we feel our request is reasonable because we are so far away from Lake Mary Boulevard. This is, that's our proposed site plan. Again, shows the proximity. This is the Hyatt Place Hotel that's on the west side of I-4. That was built in 2006. I believe it was approved before that, but I heard Joy say that it was approved because of the proximity to the I-4 off-ramp. Let's keep that in mind. Maybe zoomed out a little bit too far here. Or am I on Zoom now as opposed to moving forward? I'm used to sitting over there with these. But this is the, used to be the Kmart back in the day. Now it's the Academy Sports. Our survey called it as a 50.3 feet. I believe staff said it was 45, but it's over the 35-foot threshold, as was the hotel. It's at 45 feet. This is Top Golf. Top Golf has poles that are 170, 180 feet tall. Their facility, I believe, is 60 feet tall. And they also have the ability to do a 100-foot tall office building or hotel on their out parcel, out towards Lake Emma. This shows the future. You zoom out just a little bit. We don't quite see the. There we go. So the Hyatt's here. Our site is right here. The Academy's here. Topgolf and their out parcel are there. This in the future will be an I-4 off-ramp, which I believe puts us in a similar situation to the Hyatt. This survey just shows where the existing retention is that we'd like to keep. It is an existing site. The existing site does have less than 25% open space right now. It's between 75 and 80, so we're actually reducing the amount of impervious area on this site. I need you to zoom in on this one. This is a different exhibit. We didn't quite have this at P&Z, but this shows the existing access easement. There's 7.5 feet from the easement to the right-of-way. There's no way we could possibly do a 15-foot buffer along this area. So what we are proposing, we had come up with 5 feet because that's the existing berm up there. But I believe all of you should have gotten a revised applicant's development order yesterday. In that development order, the condition that we were asking to change from what was in your original packet is G. And under G on the west side, what we're proposing is that a 15-foot wide buffer across this area would be approximately 2,775 square feet. What we're proposing is that we would put plantings in an area equal to or greater than that. This is our conceptual site plan, but we're going to have a landscaped island here. We will put some plantings in the ponds as long as it doesn't take up the volume. And then we also have a little area down here that's not required, a 10-foot wide landscape easement, as well as a couple of 5-foot areas in the front. So that is, I don't know if I would call it a meet in the middle, but that is what we are proposing. We feel the height's justified in the area based on the way things have changed over the years, including the future I-4 off-ramp. And then we feel we meet the intent of that Lake Mary Boulevard corridor overlay, even though we're 300 feet away from it. So with that, I'll stop it. Hopefully that was a little less than 3 minutes. I'm not sure.
You're good.
But we would ask that you guys would go with Planning and Zoning's unanimous recommendation of approval with the revised condition on the landscaping in the front of the building.
Fair enough. Any questions of the applicant? Seeing none, we'll call you back for a rebuttal if necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to public comment. Ms. Dominique, do we have any speakers on this item?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I will close public portion of the meeting, or the hearing item, and go to the district commissioner. Commissioner Lockhart.
Yeah. Had conversations with the applicant and staff on this item a couple of different times throughout the process, and I think there are some benefits to having storage in a PD situation like this because of the low impact to traffic generation. I think we hear a lot about concerns about traffic in that area. I'm in that area a lot, as I know Commissioner Herr is also. I've watched that shopping center over many, many years, and I know that the owner of the shopping center is here, so please don't take this personally. It is a declining commercial property. And bought some stuff at Clothes Horse 2 over the years, been to the Indian restaurant, but it's definitely a changing area. And I know we also see on social media and hear quite a bit from the community about, oh my gosh, another storage unit. And I think we will continue to see applications for self-storage in this community until, as Americans, we stop accumulating stuff we don't have room for. It's a pattern. It's how we live. And so if we don't want it near neighborhoods where we live, where we can get close to, where we need to go get our Christmas stuff to decorate the house and get it back, then these types of areas, I think, make very good sense for it. So one of my frustrations is I don't have a sample recommendation for motion for approval. I have motions for denial because that's what staff would like, but I would like to make a motion to approve this item with the modification that the applicant presented in terms of open space that we received yesterday. So
I think, Commissioner, if you just read the item, if you're making a motion for approval to have a small-scale future land use map amendment from commercial to planned development and rezone from C2 on 1.26 acres located blah, 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 I think would serve the purpose. Is that a fair analogy?
You could read the two motions up there and change does not meet to does meet, and then say approve where it says deny.
I think I'll do that. That's a great suggestion. So I would like to make a motion based on staff's findings and the testimony and evidence received.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Lockhart, I will have to interrupt you because I forgot to tell you. I would say based on the applicant's presentation and testimony and evidence that was provided.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think there are staff's findings that actually say that this is a really great project and makes good sense. I just think they interpreted it to deny it and not to approve it. So we'll say make a recommendation on the testimony and evidence received at the hearing and all of the other good reasons why this board finds the request meets the identified portions of the comprehensive plan and moves to approve the requested small-scale future land use map amendment from commercial to PD, and finds that the request meets the identified portions of the Seminole County Land Development Code, and moves to approve the requested rezone from C2 retail commercial to PD and master plan development, and any associated development order and master plan development as modified in the most recent 2,775 square foot landscape easement noted in G. And I'm sorry, it's very clumsy.
Second. Motion second. Further discussion?
Was that a second from you, Mr. Chairman?
It was. Commissioner Constantine, then Commissioner Herr.
Well, I don't know if the votes are here to support it, but I just, for the record, would have to say that I think the staff got it absolutely right. I think this is a poster child for bad PDs, and I think that that's what it's being used for. I don't see any, I believe in storage units, and I have supported many storage units in the locations that they should be, which is industrial, not PD. I see that the Public Works has a problem with it. I see the height restrictions, and I'm sorry, but a parapet is not the same as being a solid structure, and poles are not the same as solid structures. Doesn't meet the 15 feet, it goes 5 feet, doesn't meet the 50-foot setback. I think it's just being put into PD because it's convenient and they want to put it into this. I think this is the wrong place to put self-storage. I can also say that the city, I believe, has indicated their concerns about this and are against it. So for all the very good reasons that the staff put together as to why this should be denied, I will be against this proposal.
Commissioner Herr.
Would someone mind putting up the map again? This is the site, and this is the Top Golf, and this is the map.
You passed it. It was back.
All right, so see where Top Golf is?
Yes, I do.
Right at about the letters on the bottom of the box that say Top Golf is my office. So this is my traffic pattern. And I have shopped at every store that has gone dysfunctional in that shopping center over the years. I have taken my life in my own hands, turning around to get into that shopping center. Our public works should have a problem with the way that is built today. It's irrelevant that it is a storage unit that's going to be there. I do believe that traffic in and out of a storage facility would be less than what if you were fully housed in that center, which it's incapable of being fully housed because there's no impulse ability to stop in there. So you can't generate enough traffic to pay rent. To have it be a supported, according to Lake Mary's overlay standards, facility. So it, right now, creates visual pollution. This would actually improve that. The building height, I don't care what you say, but the Topgolf building is higher than the overlay allows, and they're allowed to go even higher. So are the office buildings that are right near there. There is an off-ramp that's planned to come right down the road where my office is, and the landscaping would be an improvement. I think we need to improve the road anyway. It is not a good setup. And we live in Florida, you can't dig a basement. If we had basements, we wouldn't need storage units. So until we figure that out, we need a basement and an attic that you won't die in from the heat. Until we figure that out, we probably are not going to be out of this. But this is a significant improvement to the community, not only in terms of what's on that property to serve the community, but in terms of the visual with regard to the city.
Commissioner Delory?
A lot of good comments. Can we go to another plan that actually shows the off-ramp? I know you discussed it, but I think there's an actual one that shows the off-ramp.
The existing one?
Yeah. The new one.
I think that was in Mr. Moorhead's slide.
I don't think the new one's on one of those.
It was on the one
Chad
Mr.
Moorhead?
said.
Chairman?
Yes.
May I make a statement just to clarify quickly? I do want to clarify that the Topgolf establishment is not within the overlay.
Understood.
Understood. It's within the visual of
That's
the
right there.
overlay, though.
Sure.
And I
you.
believe Commissioner Herr has it right, because once that ramp goes in, there's going to be additional traffic. And the issue that I would have would be, I think the ramp needs to go in. That's not the issue. The issue is now you have the addition of the commercial aspect of it. I believe the self-storage would actually be an asset for this area, and that would be the reason why I'd be voting yes.
Mr. Chairman?
So,
It's almost what you said.
Commissioner Lockhart.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to, the Lake Mary Boulevard overlay is a fascinating piece of this discussion, and it continues to be highlighted as if, and I love my friends in Lake Mary, as if Lake Mary Boulevard has developed into something very quaint. Right? And
Far
I know,
from it.
right, we've got beautiful trees down the median. They've done a lovely job. The office buildings, the doctor's offices, they've done a great job with the trees out front. But we've got a lot of commercial. And aside from the use, that storage facility looks like a commercial building. So if this is about visual, which is what I believe the Lake Mary Boulevard overlay is mostly about, we're talking about visual for that perspective. I don't believe that you'll even be able to see much of this building from Lake Mary Boulevard past the gas station, like over the gas station. So that's why I'm really not hyped up about this Lake Mary overlay as the district commissioner. I wanted to explain that. I'm not ignoring them. I just think it's for a different intent.
Sure. So my position is, very mirrors many of the comments have already been said here, but the reality is this is going to become a more common issue as anybody who is tracking commercial properties, office complexes, shopping centers, all across this country, including in Florida, they're just not in use anymore. So now they sit as an eyesore in communities all across this state, wondering, what are you going to do? So we as a county have to decide if you're only going to allow a shopping center to go there, and there's not a viable client that can come into a shopping center, then what are you going to do? You're going to let it rot on the vine. It's going to turn into a crime hub. It's going to be an eyesore for the entire community. That combined with, the affluence in the Lake Mary general area, many of these communities are gated communities with HOAs. You can't have things just laying out next to your home. You can't build certain size sheds, so you have to go to a place to store your stuff. And I think that's the point well made by Commissioner Herr, that you can only put so much stuff in your garage and your attic. You got to have somewhere to go with it, and your HOA is not going to allow you to do it, you know, in the front yard or the side yard, or build some big shed to store it. So I understand Commissioner Constantine's concern. I understand staff's concern. I think P&Z did get it right. And what I've heard is, unless somebody's going to correct me, that the direction P&Z gave was the applicant go back to staff, work with staff, try to find some improvements, and it sounds like we have found some improvements. It's not the same thing that arrived at P&Z. So I will certainly be supporting this. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carries 4-1. Thank you all very much. Next item up is item number 42, Rivas Commercial Rezone, item 2024-0675. Again, Ms. Joy Giles will be presenting this. The applicant will get an opportunity to make a statement. Then we'll go to public input. And if you are here and want to speak on this item, make sure that you fill out one of these forms and get it to Dominique right here with her hand up so we can get you queued up to speak on this matter. Ms. Giles?
Yes, good afternoon. The applicant is requesting a rezone from A1 agriculture to C3 general commercial and wholesale on approximately 0.78 acres located on the west side of West State Road 426, approximately 500 feet north of Connection Point. The subject site is currently developed as a single-family residence under the existing A1 zoning classification. The applicant is requesting a rezone from A1 to C3 to redevelop the property from a single-family residence to an undetermined commercial development in compliance with the C3 zoning regulations. The property has an existing future land use of industrial, which permits the requested C3 zoning classification. The property has an existing access onto West State Road 426, which is classified as an urban principal arterial. There is an existing 14-foot wide paved trail known as the Cross Seminole Trail located along the west side of West State Road 426. Therefore, the developer will not be required to construct a sidewalk for public right-of-way. At the time of engineered site plan review, the development must meet all requirements for parking, access, maximum building height, minimum open space requirements, permitted uses, and maximum FAR, and will be evaluated for buffer requirements in accordance with the Land Development Code. The purpose and intent of the existing industrial future land use is to identify locations for a variety of heavy commercial and industrial land uses oriented towards wholesale distribution, storage, manufacturing, and other industrial uses. The land use should be located within direct access to rail systems, collector and arterial roadways, and as infill development where the use is already established. As stated previously, State Road 426 is an urban principal arterial and as much meets the intent. Under Comprehensive Plan Policy FLU 17.5, Evaluation Criteria of Property Rights Assertions, the reasonable use of a property is a use which does not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, or welfare, and is compatible with abutting or proximate properties, and is otherwise a use that is consistent with generally accepted land use planning principles. Staff finds a requested rezone from A1 to C3 to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the surrounding area. All of the properties on the west side of West State Road 426, lines south of Chapman Road and north of Aloma Woods, have an industrial future land use, which allows for industrial, commercial, and office uses and permits the requested C3 zoning district. Further, the properties to the west and south are zoned to permit C1 retail commercial and C3 general commercial and wholesale, as well as M1A very light industrial uses. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on May 1st, 2024, and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 to C3 on approximately 0.78 acres located on the west side of West State Road 426, north of Connection Point. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giles. Any inquiries with staff? Seeing none, is the applicant here and desire to make any statements? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Commission, Philip Hollis, 263 Minorca Beach Way, New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Joy just did such a good job. We will concur with staff recommendations and comments and be available for any questions or rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Hollis. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, make yourself comfortable, sir. Any members of the public here to speak on this matter today?
We have one, Chairman Brian Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, if you would come forward, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Brian Taylor at 2171 South Terrace Boulevard in Longwood. Just very simply want to say I'm in full support of the project. I think it's a good fit for what's going on, and wish that you approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speaker forums or comment forums?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, go to the district commissioner. Commissioner Delary, this is your district.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And first of all, I think it's very appropriate to rezone this. I do know that the trail is running through there as well. There's a slight curve, so I'm looking forward to when it does come in for development on how they're going to address the trail and cross-access easements, but that's at a later date. So I would make a motion to approve the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 agricultural to C3 general commercial and warehouse wholesale, general commercial wholesale on approximately 0.78 acres located on the west side of State Road 426, approximately 500 feet north of Connection Point, as submitted here today.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, it's unanimous. Thank you all very much. Next item up is a continued item from the May 14th, 24 Board of County Commission meeting. This is 5819 Bear Lake Circle, item 2024-0726. This will be presented by Ms. Mary Robinson. Ms. Robinson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mary Robinson, Planner, Code Enforcement Officer with Development Services. This is a request of Mr. Brian Smith to consider approval of a dock, boathouse, and boat slip consisting of 1,725 cumulative, square feet located on the north side of Bear Lake Circle, approximately 418 feet west of Lineal Beach Drive, more particularly known as 5819 Bear Lake Circle. Section 70.6 of the Land Development Code does require that the board hold a public hearing on any boat dock, house, or gazebo that exceed 1,000 square feet in the aggregate. Their next slide is the location map showing the site on Bear Lake. Next, I'm going to provide a timeline of the existence of this dock, boathouse, and slip. The property appraiser did pick up this dock and boathouse in 1979 on his property record. In 2014, there was a building permit that was issued that moved the boat slip, constructed a new boathouse and deck addition, and it did exceed 1,000 square feet, but there were no approvals on file that the Board of County Commissioners had granted that. So I cannot speak to the history on that, but the next step was in 2022, the property owner, Mr. Smith, did obtain a general permit from Florida Department of Environmental Protection. That approval gave him up to 1,970 square feet to construct a dock, boat house, and boat slip. The next slide is an aerial. This is the best resolution I could find for historical aerials. This is a 2013 aerial view. As you can see, this is the boathouse and the boat slip. The next slide, please. This is the construction of the boathouse, slip, and dock in the 2014 permit. The next slide is just another view of it from a different direction. And we could go to the next slide, please. Okay, I'll continue with the timeline. On December 2023, a complaint was received about construction without permits. A county building inspector confirmed that there was construction activity, the materials were on the site, and the inspector had a discussion with the on-site construction crew. They stated the boathouse siding had been replaced, and they were planning on replacing the dock and some of the pilings. At that point, a stop work order was issued. The building division issued a notice of violation to the property owner of record. In January 2024, the property owner applied for a building permit. At that time, it was determined that the request had exceeded a 1,000 square foot threshold and that a public hearing before the board was required. March of 24, there was a final notice of violation issued to the property owner of record. And then again in May of 2024, as the case proceeded, a new notice of violation had to be issued as the property ownership changed on the property appraiser's property card. Then now there's a pending statement of violation, and special magistrate hearing date has yet to be scheduled as the owner is proceeding with compliance and obtaining a permit as a result of this hearing. This next slide, it was taken by the building inspector in March of 2024, showing the existing dock, boathouse, and boat slip. This is an aerial view of our 2024 boat, dock, house, and slip. The applicant is proposing to reconstruct and construct an additional 615 square feet to accommodate a new seating area. The square footage of the existing boat, dock, house, and slip combined is 1,110 square feet. The existing dock is approximately 557 square feet. The boathouse is approximately 333 square feet. The boat slip is approximately 220 square feet. Upon completion, the boat, dock, house, and slip will be 1,725 square feet. The other construction in progress will include replacement of pilings and boards on the dock and replace, as already stated, the siding on the boathouse has been completed. The next slide is the application, the site plan that was submitted with the dredge and fill permit. This is the current state that I took this photo May 10th of this year. As you can see, their property owner has stopped construction and there are materials on site. The next slide is the review criteria contained in Chapter 70 of the Land Development Code, which is dredging and filling. This is for your information. I won't go over each one, but we have determined at a staff level that this application meets all 7 of these criteria. The staff is requesting that the Board of County Commissioners approve the request for a dock, boathouse, and boat slip consisting of 1,725 square feet located on the north side of Bear Lake Circle, approximately 418 feet west of Lineal Beach Drive, more particularly known as 5819 Bear Lake Circle. I am available for any questions, as is the property owner.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the property owner desire to make any statements at this time?
No, thank you to the staff for the help in getting to this point.
Go ahead, come up to the microphone real quick if you don't mind. Just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Brian Smith. I live at 5819 Bear Lake Circle. I just want to more particularly thank you and the staff for putting this information together and clarifying it so that everybody understands it better. I think the last meeting was just very unclear. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any public comments on this matter?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment on this matter and move to the District Commissioner. Commissioner Constantine, you're the District Commissioner on this one.
Well, I think we all had a lot of questions last time. And I hope Mr. Smith has learned a lesson that we don't want to ask for forgiveness, we want to ask for permission when we're doing something. And saying that, I think that there's also, if I'm not mistaken from staff, there's also going to be some ongoing consideration as far as penalties and fines, is that correct?
Currently, he does have a statement of violation. Once he applies for the building permit, he will be charged a double fee.
So with all that taken into consideration, I will move that the board approve the request of the 1,725 square feet combined boat dock, house, and slip located on the north side of Bear Lake Circle, approximately 418 feet west of Linear Beach Drive, more particularly known as 5819 Bear Lake Circle.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lockhart.
I do have a question for Mary.
Yes, Mary, if you would come back up. Commissioner Lockhart has a question.
Generally, how much does a permit for this type of project run? How much would the permit be?
Good question. I don't have that information, Commissioner. I can get back to you on it.
Would Rebecca know? No.
Mr. Pike, no?
So we're doubling the fee.
Oh, the
but
building
we're not-
official is here. He may be able to provide that information.
Bob Pike, building official, Seminole County. The value is based on the value of work, so that would be labor and materials. So we would have to know that in order to be able to give a permit value for that.
Is it a percentage?
I don't have the fee schedule in front of me, but I will be able to get that for you momentarily.
And the reason I'm asking is because I think sometimes the royal we think that permits are extremely expensive or that they're somehow cumbersome, and the reality is our permitting fees in Seminole County are ridiculously reasonable. They are very, very reasonable. So even if don't avoid getting it because you think it's going to be expensive, especially if you're going to be spending $100,000 on a dock. A permit fee is not going to be that much probably. But also, if you're going to have to double it, maybe it would just be better to go ahead and get the permit on the front end. But I was just curious what dollar value we were talking about.
So Mr. Pike, you'll share that with Commissioner?
Yeah, if I know the value of the work and the material, I can get a permit value for you. By the way, our permit fees are due to go up in the future by 3%.
So get your permits now.
So get your permit now, yes.
3% isn't a bad deal.
No.
Get two in case you need a spare. All right. Anything else for staff? See nothing, we will move on to our legislative public hearings. Item number 44. This is amendments to Chapter 40 Seminole County Code of Ordinances, item number 2024-0353. Here to present is Mr. Jay Ham.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jay Ham. I am the Chief Plans Examiner for the Seminole County Building Division. I would like to present an ordinance for board consideration amending the Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, which pertains to the Building Code Administration. As mandated by state statute, the Florida Building Code must be updated every 3 years. Consequently, any amendments to the administration section of the Florida Building Code must be reflected in the county's administrative code. The 2023 8th edition of the Florida Building Code was adopted by the state on December 31st, 2023. While changes to the administration section are typically minimal, the latest edition includes a significant new requirement of mandatory structural inspections for condominiums and cooperatives that are 3 stories or higher. This addition is a legislative response to the collapse of Surfside Condo in South Florida. The new code mandates that each condominium and cooperative building 3 stories or higher must undergo a milestone inspection by December 31st of the year in which the building has reached 30 years of age. Subsequent inspections will be required every 10 years thereafter. These structural inspections must be performed by an architect or engineer licensed in the state of Florida. Additionally, the legislation has set a deadline of December 31st, 2024 for milestone inspections for all applicable buildings whose occupancies were issued prior to July 1st, 1992. In Seminole County, this new regulation will apply to 9 condominium communities. Of those 9, 6 are due this year. Those 6 were notified last year. There are no other significant changes to the newest administrative code of the Florida Building Code. Therefore, staff recommends that the board adopt the ordinance amending the Seminole County Code, Chapter 40, Appendix A, as revised.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ham. Any questions from the commission? I do have one question, and I see Mr. Pike has now left.
He went to get that number.
Yeah, he's doing your calculation right on. If you know, is the technology being dictated how the inspection is done? By example, does it have to be X-rayed, sonared?
So the inspections are laid out in the building code, and the milestone inspections are a two-phased approach. Phase one is a visual inspection by the architect or engineer, and if they find any structural deterioration, they move into a phase two. The phase two can be as destructive as needed.
Okay.
To determine what has to be repaired.
So the technology falls on the shoulders of the phase two engineer that's doing.
The engineer performing the inspection, correct.
But the initial is a visual, and if nothing is determined visually to give an indication.
Correct.
They don't have to move to phase two.
Correct. And then they are required to provide us a report as well as each unit owner and post it to their website.
Got it. So the reason for my inquiry is the cost associated with that. With a lot of these condominium associations, I can see special assessments coming for a lot of these owners, which are going to freak out because they probably already got one for the air conditioning, one for the roof, and whatever else is going on. So that was my interest. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone here wish to speak on this, Dominique?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll close public input on this item and go to the board for action.
Chairman.
Commissioner Glary.
Approve an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Appendix A of the Seminole County Code of Ordinance to update the administrative provision by the Building Code to be consistent with the state of Florida statute.
Second.
Presented.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. All right, next item up is item number 45. Consider and approve an ordinance amending Article 3 of Part 1 of Chapter 250. This is item number 2024-0638. Mr. Jean Dredge will do a presentation on this from Public Works.
Good afternoon. I have Charlie Watson is the traffic engineer representing this item.
Okay. Mr. Wetzel.
Hi, good afternoon. For the record, Charlie Wetzel, County Traffic Engineer. This is an ordinance amending Article 3, Official Traffic Control Devices of Part 1, Traffic Ordinance of Chapter 250, Traffic of the Seminole County Code. This article was adopted by Seminole County Ordinance number 82-39 on October 10th, 1982. This ordinance has not been updated since then. Numerous provisions were updated or clarified, and provisions preempted by Chapter 316 of the Florida statutes were removed as part of this amendment. The main change was adding a procedure whereby the Seminole County Sheriff or the Seminole County Fire Chief may request the installation of an official traffic control device for law enforcement or public safety purposes, which is not within the county traffic engineer's specific delegated authority. This new language can be found in Section B on page 5 of 8. We sent the amendment to each of you and met with most of you and addressed all the concerns we received. As required, we advertised the notice of this public hearing in the Orlando Sentinel on Monday, May 20th, 2024. We hereby request the board approve an ordinance amending Article 3 of Part 1 of Chapter 250, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Wetzel? Commissioner Herr.
Is there a budgetary impact?
No.
So they can request us to implement devices. We would almost always say yes, right? Do we?
And if I could, if you remember last year, Commissioners, that we had an issue of taking no parking signs down, and then we had to place them back up. Commissioner Lockhart was the chair at that time, and I believe it was your district, if I'm not mistaken, and we band-aided this issue, and so we brought it back and put this, put some procedures in place and for that not to occur again.
And that was the only request in many, many years I've been here, so I don't really see a big financial impact.
And if there is, we would bring that back to the board
Right.
if there was.
Any further inquiries? Thank you, Mr. Wetzel. Madam Clerk, do we have any public input on this item?
No, sir.
We'll close the public input portion and move to board action. Commissioner Herr?
I move to approve an ordinance amending Article 3 of Part 1 of Chapter 250 Traffic of the Seminole County Code to create a new subsection establishing a procedure for the Seminole County Sheriff or Seminole County Fire Chief to request placement of official traffic control devices for public safety and law enforcement purposes.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, carries unanimous. Next item is item 46, item 2024-0786. Consider an ordinance imposing a countywide local government infrastructure surtax of 1%. This will be presented by Mr. Darren Gray, County Manager.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This ordinance authorizes the renewal and extends the existing infrastructure sales tax for an additional 10 years. If approved by the voters, it will be effective from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2034. The sales tax revenue will be shared with the Seminole County School Districts and all 7 cities within Seminole County. And staff is recommending approval of the ordinance.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, we will move to public comment. Madam, do we have any speakers?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move to board for action. Commissioner Lockhart?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance imposing a countywide local government infrastructure surtax of 1% on all authorized taxable transactions occurring within Seminole County for a period of 10 years, beginning on January 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. I would ask, Board, we're going to take a 10-minute recess real quick, and we'll come back in 10 minutes.
Can somebody work on the air conditioning?
All right, we're back on the record. Thanks for everyone's patience. I want to remind everyone, we're going to go to public forum comment on non-agenda items here eventually. So if you're here to speak on a non-agenda item, I want to make sure that you fill out one of these speaker forms that are in the lobby. Make sure you get it to Monique right here, or Dominique, I'm sorry, here, our clerk, in advance. If you just want to make a written comment, fill out the green, yellow, and just put a note of what you want to speak about, so she'll have it and we'll call you up when the time's appropriate. Next item, we will move to the county attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a report, but I did want to take one moment and just introduce my summer intern who's sitting in the audience and watched our entire meeting. Anthony Joya is over here in the blue tie. He just finished his first year at Stetson Law School, and he
Go
will
Hatters!
Go Hatters! Yes. And he will be with my office for the summer. You may see him hanging around or attending meetings just to get the experience and the exposure. So
Great. Well,
that's all.
Welcome.
Great. Welcome, Anthony. I hope you're enjoying your day here in the chambers. Don't answer that. It's good to see the young folks getting in and getting their feet wet and get some experience that otherwise they wouldn't get, so glad to have you here. Okay, we'll move on next to the county manager's report and any staff presentations that you may want to do.
Mr. Chairman, no staff presentations or report, and I do not have an intern. I will be getting one soon as we launch our new program, so I'll be introducing someone soon.
Great, fantastic. All right, we'll move on to our district commissioner reports. First up is going to be Commissioner Delary, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make this quick. This coming Sunday, June 17th, is Father's Day. I want to wish all the fathers out there, not just here in the audience, but in the county and the surrounding areas, happy Father's Day, and wish you all the best. Have a great day. End of my report.
Very good, sir. Commissioner Constantine, District 3.
Ditto on that sentiment, as well as on the 22nd, the Wekiva River Basin Commission met. Basically, talking about some of the issues still on the Wekiva River or the Wekiva Parkway, as well as some of the issues that are being brought up on the Lake County side. On the 28th, I attended the Seminole County Fire Department's patient reunification, and once again at Station 12 and on Douglas Avenue. Once again, I reiterate the Class 1 fire department that we have and how important that is for all of our communities and citizens. On the 30th, opioid leadership meeting met. The sheriff and I were meeting downtown with others on that, and that's an ongoing. There's going to be another meeting in June of the statewide task force. Tomorrow in Metro Plan will be meeting at 9 o'clock. On Friday, MPO Alliance will be meeting at 10 o'clock in Bartow. And also, just wanted to say in South Seminole Rotary Club has been I would call the grandfather of all the Rotary clubs here in Seminole County. We have, I believe, 8 now that exist throughout, that meet Monday through Friday in one place or another. I think many of us are in Rotary or have been in Rotary from time to time. But this was the one that I believe, other than the Sanford Rotary, breakfast has been in Seminole County the longest. It has decided that it would disband. Many of the members are going to other groups. But I just wanted to shout out, since we won't have a meeting before their last meeting, of what a great service they have provided to this county throughout the years. I remember that our former member, Carlton Henley, took me to a breakfast meeting of that Rotary Club when I was in Interact at Lyman High School back in 1969, I think. And I was just happy that I got out of first period. But it was quite a revelation. And a few years after I graduated from college, I joined that club and have been emeritus for a number of years now. But I just it's a great club, and I'm sorry to see it disband, but at the same time, all good things have to end at some point. Thank you very much.
All right, good report, Mr. Constantine. Next up is District 4, Commissioner Lockhart.
One item for an appointment is for the Customer Advisory Committee for Sunrail. Seminole County has the ability to appoint a citizen to serve on that role, and we have found a gentleman by the name of Mr. Ulberg, who would be serving as a one-year term, and I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. As your representative on the Central Florida Zoo Board, wanted to let you know that the zoo has achieved accreditation again through the AZA. They have had their mid-cycle inspection. For those who don't know, the AZA really truly is the gold standard of accreditations for zoos and aquariums around the country. And it also allows the zoo to participate in species survival plans. I think a lot of folks think when they go to a zoo, they're just there to see the animals, but zoos are actually doing more work in terms of keeping an entire species alive than you would imagine. So the Central Florida Zoo actually has 38 different species that are on a species survival plan right now. So we're thrilled to be a part of that. For those of you who may not know, Nancy Haggerty, who was an instrumental educator in Seminole County, passed away recently. You may know her husband, Paul J. Haggerty, was a superintendent in Seminole County Public Schools, and Haggerty High School is named in his honor. We want to wish her family and friends the very best as they mourn her loss. There will be a service at Most Precious Blood Catholic Church in Oviedo on November 5th at 2, and I know there will be lots of folks in the community who want to go and honor her.
Is it November?
Did I say November?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm asking.
That doesn't get any better, by the way.
Seemed odd.
So hold that thought. I read it this morning, and I must have written it down wrong. Hold, please. I'll get back to you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 5th at 2. The month is to be determined. Seminole State, as you all know, a huge Seminole State fan. We talked about Aspen, the award that is given out to colleges around the country. We made the top 25. Just recently we learned we have now made the top 10. Wow. So every time we get an update, it's getting better and better. It's just a huge recognition for community college excellence in this country. So very proud of our Seminole State team. Attended the Leadership Seminole Class Graduation 33. Congratulations to Mr. Gray.
We talk the talk. Yeah. Meaning we talk too much.
Was that class 33?
That's what they told us.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. Attended a meeting at the Lily H. Green Community Center, networking together with leaders of the East Altamont community and the Boys and Girls Club. There is some new leadership there that we were able to come together, and many thanks to Andrea Wesser-Bronner for pulling that little caucus together. It was a great opportunity to share ideas and ways that the Boys and Girls Club, as well as the new programming that we're expecting to have happen at the Rosenwald Center, can work collaboratively and help one another. And many thanks to the faith-based community members of the churches in that area who are very, very excited and supportive about all of the things that are going on. Wanted to let you know that both the Sunrail and Lynx board meetings have been canceled for June. So both are conflicting with various conferences, one of which is the Florida Association of Counties Conference that a lot of people will be attending. And that conference is the 25th through the 28th, which I know Commissioner Constantine and I will both be there, and members of county staff and county attorney's office. Also want to invite you all to the Bronner House Museum opening and Juneteenth celebration. That is in Castleberry, and I've been I've been so great with dates. I'm going to
November
give you.
5th?
It's November 5th. No, it's June 23rd. It's June 23rd at 3 p.m. At 150 South Cypress Way in Castleberry, and that is a passion project for many in that community, and I'm going to be excited to be able to be there to celebrate with them the opening of this museum. It's in the Bronner House Museum. Of course, we know everyone is gearing up for hurricane season, and I would just make an impassioned plea to put together your kits now. It costs very little to just buy an extra thing here and there and have it ready to go when a storm is impending. I think the worst thing you can do, or at least the worst thing that I wound up doing many years ago, was winding up at Walmart at midnight trying to get the last of everything because you've got so many things going on with work and kids, and just get it done now, and then you don't have to think about it, especially for our employees who have storm responsibilities. Just get it all done now, and then when the storm comes and you have to report to the EOC or wherever it is you need to go, you don't have to think about it. You know it's all done. So that's my...
And save the sales tax on it through Friday.
Yes, and save sales tax. That's great. What a great point. Forgot about that. Father's Day, if I don't say it again, that would be terrible. So happy, it's been said, but I will say it again. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. Hopefully this will be a great weekend celebrating you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Lockhart. Next up is District 5, Commissioner Herr.
Mr. Chairman, she was right. It is November 5th.
So it's voting day? Election day?
It says November 5th, Thursday.
Well, then, yeah, Election Day is November
5th is Tuesday.
3rd then.
It says November 5th.
So I'll be honest with you, the Haggertys didn't consult me on when to do that.
Yeah, November 5th is a Tuesday, so
I thought it
more
was
to come
Tuesday.
on that.
Yeah, we'll get some clarification in case that might be a typo in the obituary. But
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out and let you know.
It says November 5th.
All right, Commissioner Herr.
Just want to give a shout out to the adult children in the Herr household it's apparently Father's Day this weekend. Apparently the mother in the household may be behind. I too, as the board member on Leadership Seminole, congratulate Darren for going through. It is a long and arduous process because it's 9 Fridays and then all of the work that you do behind that, and the fact that you guys talk too much is really no surprise to me. Tomorrow is a joyous day. We will be celebrating the Leadership Point grand opening, so there will be a few of us out there. I will be out there, rain or shine, but it's in my district. I expect I'll be alone if it's pouring. Every single time I've gone out there, there's been some weather episode, though, so I have the boots in the trunk. And we will be cracking a bottle of champagne over something, because this really is exciting. We have 6 new homes going up in Goldsboro, as was discussed this morning. It is a great day in Seminole County. We did the grand opening for the Lake Sylvan Park Bourne Learning Trail, which is a joint effort between United Way, the Early Learning Coalition, and our county staff that did a wonderful job. I did get pulled aside to say this was the most wonderful county to work with in terms of that project. This is a project that paints the sidewalks to stimulate conversation for early learninghood development for children. Often, and I found myself in this situation, you're not exactly sure what to talk about when you're with your kid in the middle of the woods. I could have done it in the middle of a city, but in the middle of the woods, I was a little bit lost. And so they have this guided learning path. It was really, really cool. So really good work done. And last but most important in terms of this, no offense, Darren, but most important in terms of this, a big public record shout out for Kyle Wojcik, who graduated from the Seminole State Law Enforcement Academy and won the academic award. Wow. So he had the highest GPA in the class, and he is our own Kyle at the front desk. is it upstairs?
Not
Downstairs, right out
Right
here
around the corner.
on the first floor. So he has clearly been studying hard and will be a great representative at the sheriff's office. So congratulations, Kyle. And that concludes my report, Chairman.
Well, thank you very much. I have no problem having a discussion with my children in the woods, because when I take my children in the woods, it's usually on a hunting trip and they're supposed to be quiet and not say a word.
I didn't think of that.
That doesn't work till they're about 12. But anyway, good report. I'll probably merge the two, but I need to start with some business on, I'd like someone to consider making a nomination for Commissioner Bob Delary to be the Value Adjustment Board Chair.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. You're now the Chair of the Value Adjustment Board.
And, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, we were informed by the clerk that that is a state statute.
That's correct. Here's the documentation that goes along with it, just so you make sure you follow it, sir.
Congratulations, Bob. Here's your certificate.
I thought we already elected you chair of the Value Adjustment Board.
We did. Appointed.
The board, the committee used to do it, and then they changed the state statute.
Yeah.
That this board has to do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Do you want to take a picture down?
I'm more than good.
That's great. I also attended the Seminole Class 33 Leadership Graduation on May 17th. Congratulations again. Well done. It was well attended by many folks in the community, and it was a pretty big class, actually. I was impressed how many folks were in that class. The Yarborough Nature Center was renamed on May 28th. Renamed the Imogene and Ed Yarborough Nature Center. You have the picture there on the screen of the Yarborough family, of the late Ed and, Ed and Imogene Yarborough. We decided to add Miss Imogene's name to that, and her passing approximately 18 months ago. Commissioner Delary was there. I think some other folks were there from the community other than the Yarboroughs. There was, our staff was there, and one of our staff members got their vehicle stuff stuck, and we had to pull them out, but that was all good.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, staff did get their vehicles stuck, and the more they tried to get it unstuck, the deeper it got.
That's right.
So the chairman basically hooked up his tank that he drives and just pulled it out.
Pulled it out of there.
Wasn't even breaking a sweat.
No, that's what happens. Sometimes you get out in some of those remote rural areas. So next thing I attended was our Emergency Operations Center hurricane exercise that took place over at the EOC. Very impressive with our staff and all of our community partners, basically going through a full-blown Category 5 hurricane exercise with real calls coming in, people manning the phones, power companies there, law enforcement, to simulate a major hurricane that would possibly hit this county, and going through and making sure everybody is well-versed and equipped to do that. So it was a very well-attended, great experience, and I will assure you that we're in good hands here in Seminole County when it comes to our emergency management folks and a preparedness that our staff has done. And one thing that we often overlook is we have a lot of staff members from the county that are in that EOC when an emergency is about to occur, a hurricane or a tornado is about to come. We soon forget that these people are residents of our community and they have families, but they've now taken away from their families to help our families while their family is left to their own devices, and hopefully, friends and family in the neighborhood are helping them. But it's very important to recognize the sacrifice those families make for the best interest of 500,000 people in this county. So we want to thank each and every one of you that do that. And I know a lot of staff in this room are part of that. Some of our staff members and our aides are part of that as well. It's almost all hands on deck when those kind of things happen. Also want to thank the folks over at the Roads and Stormwater Department. On May 30th, I went out with the crew and poured new sidewalks in a 100-degree day. I don't think they understood that I have a little background in working with my hands and so forth, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I want to thank that crew, and I will tell you that I was impressed how particular that crew is in making sure that a resident's property is not damaged, and if there's even any remote indication that some grass was injured or a sprinkler system, they actually have the stuff on the truck to fix it, whether it was working before or not, which speaks volumes of the customer service that group is able to give, and so I thank them for allowing me to attend that. I will also be working later this week with our development services for a day of working with that group, and I understand I'll be attending a code enforcement hearing as part of that, so that'll be interesting that I'll be taking place in as an employee. So I'm looking forward to that, and I want to thank Darren, our county manager, for allowing me to do that and accommodating me to get out and meet with some of these employees and boil my brains out in 100-degree temperature out on blacktop. Also, if you haven't heard, if you saw what happened in Orange County, Orange County Commission has agreed to move forward a rural boundary initiative on the referendum coming up in November, which is, many of you are aware, on the eastern side, Commissioner Delari's district, portions of my district, which have been under assault from development pressure on the Orange County side. Their charter review brought that before the board. The board has agreed to move that to ballot referendum, but late last night, apparently there is some kind of discussion that needs to further happen with the supervisor elections, that supervisor elections has indicated that there may not be enough time to actually get it done. So stay tuned on how that's going to work out, but I thought that was important for us to know and understand how that may or may not impact us, being that we're on the rural boundary of our voter initiative approval, if this gets passed or not passed. Commissioner Lockhart.
I just have a question for the county attorney. If our board is presented with modifications to our charter from our charter review board, do we have discretion whether to move it forward to the ballot or not?
No, according to your charter, whatever's presented to you is just, it's a perfunctory review, and you're just kind of moving it along to the ballot. So it's just almost like a courtesy, so you know what they are bringing to the ballot. But your charter does require that you approve it.
Okay.
But there's really, you really can't deny.
Okay.
You really can't
All right, I just
deny.
want to, in case there is some difference
Sure.
of process, I just wanted to make sure I understood what we
An
were.
Orange County Charter Review Commission was preempted from doing the rural boundary themselves by Florida law, so the BCC in Orange took it up on their own. So it's not really a Charter Review Commission amendment there anymore, it's a BCC charter amendment.
Got it, okay, thank you for the clarification. All right.
And finally, I think I omitted, I attended the Associated Builders and Contractors meeting at Harry P. Lou Gardens. It was well attended. Commissioner Herr was there as well, interacting with a lot of Central Florida builder. Commissioner Constantine was there, that's right, I'm sorry. I remember seeing you there. Comments were made on how happy these folks are with our staff and how good of work our staff does for them in our building department. So I heard several of those comments, so hats off to them. And that concludes my report, so we will move next to public comment. Anyone in the audience is here to speak, make sure you have one of these filled out right now, and make sure you get it to Ms. Dominique right now, because once we start this, we're going to go for a total of 30 minutes max, 3 minutes per speaker.
One of each. New stack, by the way.
We will call you up in groups of threes. We'll ask you to line up. We'll ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes. First, start out with your name and your address and the topic that you're going to speak on. I would also ask, in respect of everybody's time, that if you are speaking on the same item, try not to be redundant. try not to duplicate what another speaker has said. If another speaker is saying something that you're about to say and you're in the audience and haven't spoke yet, just hold your thumb up, yeah, you agree, or thumb down, you don't agree. That'll make everybody happy. So, Dominique, let's start with the first three names, please.
Linda Radon, Dennis Shepner, and Jeanette Cheech.
Okay. If the three would line up in order there, we'll get you all going. Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Hi, Linda Radin, 657 Lake Drive, Altamont Springs. Talking about the Bill of Rights ordinance that is not on the agenda. It has to do with the WHO, the World Health Organization agenda. I sent a letter in November of 2023 and also recently with a lot of facts and information that I have come across from Matt Staver and Epic Times for your review. So if you have not done so yet, please do so, because if you don't want us to be redundant, that means you have to listen and read. So anyway, my number one protector is Jesus, my King and Lord. However, he does use people to move purposes and plans forward, and we are asking you to consider doing whatever you can for Seminole County to protect us from the WHO agenda coming forth. So part of it is that this pandemic treaty wants to revise the international health regulations so that they can surveil everybody, have on-site investigations, implementation of control measures like lockdowns and trade, logistics, access to health services and health products, censoring misinformation and disinformation, creating vaccines, medical treatment and protocols, and so many other things. Censorship, they want to increase funding to tackle false, misleading information. Attempts to place restrictions like isolation and quarantines. This is the main one. Support gain of function, which engages in innovative research and development for addressing novel pathogens while ensuring that regulatory standards do not create any unnecessary administration hurdles for research. So part of the thing, I don't know if you heard about the avian flu going around with the bird flu. They're trying to create a problem. And maybe you believe in it, maybe you don't. But pretty soon they're going to want to vaccinate coworkers, and they're going to want to take the cows away, and it's going to turn into a nightmare. So I don't appreciate the restrictions they did to us on the COVID-19 episode in 2020. I don't know if all you did. And I was very appreciative of Governor DeSantis not having us locked down like some other states were. So the WHO really wants to enforce a lot of rules and regulations and have like an authoritarian control over our lives in many aspects, and even possibly create a pandemic so that they can do this, and that's the bottom basic line behind all this. So again, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Mr. Shepner, and I believe he also has a handout that'll be passed around.
I think we've received that.
Okay, I'm Dennis Shepner. I live at 1167 Oak Creek Court in Winter Springs. So good afternoon, Commissioners. I've been a resident of Seminole County for 25 years. Today, I stand before you as a concerned citizen, presenting crucial information regarding our state's voter roll database and voter history from the 2022 general election. This information is the result of extensive research conducted by the highly qualified and credentialed team of data experts at the United Sovereign Americans, a grassroots organization who have been meticulously analyzed official election files from both the federal government and the state of Florida. While I'm not an official spokesperson for the United Sovereign Americans, I'm a dedicated volunteer, deeply troubled by the findings of this research. These findings are substantial and warrant careful consideration. To be clear, we're not alleging fraud, nor are we suggesting that any candidate's victory should be questioned or that election results should be overturned. Our analysis, based solely on official data provided by state election officials, reveals that not all votes counted in the 2022 general election were valid and accurate under the law. These findings have been shared with the state election officials and law enforcement agencies. Today, my colleagues and I are here to seek your understanding, support, and action. We propose a resolution that highlights key statistics from our research and calls for an end to the inaccuracies and the uncertainties that undermine our elections. We ask that you carefully listen to the resolution, ask any questions that you may have, and then place it on a future agenda so it can be discussed and further action taken. This is an opportunity for your commitment and leadership to ensure compliance with established federal election laws in our county elections. Adopting this resolution will demonstrate your alignment with constituents' concerns and your dedication to upholding voter civil rights and the integrity of our elections in Seminole County. It is crucial that you, as our representatives, convey that these issues be taken seriously. Lastly, it's imperative to address these issues now, as the same election system and procedures that led to the errors in 2022 general election will likely yield similar results in the upcoming 2024 general election. I'll now read the resolution entitled, Resolution for a Legally Valid 2024 General Election. Whereas it's a recognized civil right in the United States for every citizen to have free and fair elections, quote, and the right of suffrage can be denied by a debasement or dilution of the weight of a citizen's vote just as effectively as by wholly prohibited by the free exercise of the franchise. Reynolds v. Simmons, 377 U.S. 533, 1964. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepner. And I would ask you all, as you come up again, try to keep it to 3 minutes. I don't want to be the rude person that has to cut you all off, but try to keep it as brief as you possibly can. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jeanette Check. I live at 143 Hayes Road, Winter Springs, Florida. To continue, whereas it is the duty of our election officials to guarantee our elections are accurate and free from distortion or manipulation. Quote, Congress seeks to guard the election of members of Congress against any possible unfairness by compelling every concerned in holding the election to a strict and scrupulous observance of every duty devolved upon him while so engaged. The evil intent consists in disobedience to the law, unquote. In reference, COI 127 U.S. 731, 1888. Whereas our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following four tenets of election are upheld. 1, the voter rolls must be accurate. National Voter Registration Act, 1993. 2, votes counted must be from eligible voters. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2. 3, the number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted. 4, there can be no more than one in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting system. Help America Vote Act 2002. Whereas an open source audit of the Florida 2022 general election conducted by Florida Citizens Audit has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that appear to violate both federal and state laws, including 564,926 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the Florida State Voter Roll database, 177,171 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrants, 88,635 blank ballots, 145,309 more votes counted than voters who voted in the 22 general election. No one knows who cast them. 205,744 apparent voting violations, in excess of the legal standard of system accuracy for a federal election. Maximum allowable system errors for the 2022 general election in Florida was 62. Certification as defined by law and attestation of accuracy and compliance appears to have been fraudulent and illegal. Next reader.
We would call the next three up, please.
Jeanette Keeling, Natalie Lackner, and Pat Tykowski.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeanette Keeling. I'm at 574 Northbridge Drive, Altamont Springs, 32714. To continue. Whereas these findings trample legal accuracy requirements of the voting system during a federal election. Accuracy is defined as the ability of the system to capture and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by a voter without error. Whereas the intent of the voters must be known factually before certification can be lawfully conducted. Certification of an election that varies from the law is an abridgment of the civil rights of the citizens, a fraud ab initio. United States versus Throckmorton, 98 U.S. 61, 1878. Quote, from time immemorial, an election to public office has been, in point of substance, no more and no less than the expression by qualified electors of their choice of candidates, unquote. United States versus Classic, 313 U.S. 299, 1941. Whereas Florida's 2022 general election appears to have been invalid, depriving us of the guaranteed protection of our natural rights under a government duly and provably chosen by us, the American people, resulting in incalculable damage to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of these United States. Therefore, we call upon our representatives to provide relief to the people and the assurance of domestic tranquility by joining us in demanding a valid 2024 general election that upholds these existing laws and equitable principles of law. 1. Proof of citizenship, identity and eligibility to register and vote, not anonymous attestation. 2. Voter rolls certified, accurate and available for public review and challenge 30 days before the start of early voting. Voters added after that date must bring proof of citizenship, identity, and address in person to a qualified official at each polling place. 3. Hand-marked, secure ballots similar to currency, where imaging technology is used for tabulation. The security features must be verifiable in the ballot image. 4. Systems, machines, security measures, infrastructure, and conduct are required to be compliant with federal law for fraud prevention regarding risk assessment, certification, testing, and implementation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Natalie Lackner, 471 Lowndes Square, Castleberry. To continue, adjudication must be signed off by party, candidate, and trained citizen witnesses after being given full and effective observation rights. Candidates and trained citizens must be allowed immediate access to ballots, ballot images, and CVRs. 6. Ballots, regardless of the entry source, election operations and systems must maintain end-to-end chain of custody from voter to vote count to final canvass, including auditability and witness transfer with paper records. 7, a NIST-compliant, randomized, statistically valid end-to-end audit with a 95% confidence level of all elections pursuant to the 14th Amendment, Section 2, must be performed. These audits are to be conducted by qualified, insured, and bonded security forensics or financial auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Reconciliation will include the vote count, real physical ballots, adjudication, CVRs, ballot count, qualified voter count, custody transfer, and all other paper and electronic election systems, including logs. 8, if the total of all unique variances above is more than 10% of the margin of victory, a new election must be held in the state for those candidates affected, unless the issue can be provably corrected by a manual hand recount and a full review of records. 9, waiver of requirements is not allowed. Only end-to-end system compliance from registration through certification can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded. Be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners, Seminole County, Florida, stands in support with the concerns and remedies presented here. We implore the Seminole County Legislature, the Florida State Legislature, federal legislators, law enforcement, federal and state prosecutors, judges, and both state and county boards of elections to cooperate and fill these firm requests of the people. Signatories are Commissioner Bob Delary, Chairman Commissioner Jason Bauer, Commissioner Lee Constantine, Commissioner Amy Lockhart, Vice Chair Commissioner Andrea Herr. Both research sources and relevant laws are cited in endnotes within this resolution. This concludes the reading of the resolution and will be followed by some comments, closing comments. Thank you.
All right, will you call the next three, Ms. Dominic?
Next will be Lane Johnson and Sherry Johnson.
Does that conclude all the speakers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Pat Tchaikovsky. I live at 1285 Stellar Drive in Oviedo. To conclude, Commissioners, you've just heard a compelling resolution that outlines significant inaccuracies from registration through the certification of our 2022 general election. This resolution calls for meaningful actions to proactively protect the integrity of the 2024 general election for all voters. It also references numerous U.S. Supreme Court precedents underscoring the necessity of such measures. Laws are being overlooked. We need your leadership and decisive action. The current voting system, which safeguards our most fundamental right, the right to choose our representatives, is failing to deliver accurate, trustworthy results. Do you believe that the anomalies within our election system, a system integral to our national security infrastructure, should continue to be ignored? Consider the cost of inaction, not just monetary terms, but also the impact on our gross domestic product, our military, our foreign policy, our health, our self-esteem, and our national dignity. The cost is immeasurable, and I urge you to express your support by passing the resolution. Let us take a step back and view the broader picture. Many Americans, including numerous residents of Florida and Seminole County, have concerns about the trustworthiness and reliability of our elections. While we all wish this were not the case, official government election data validates these concerns, and the law mandates that they be resolved to secure our liberty. At the same time, government representatives at various levels have not been transparent or responsive to our citizen audits of our official election data. Our right to choose our representatives through legally valid and transparent elections is the cornerstone of our constitutional republic. This right has been fiercely defended over the past 2.5 centuries by the sacrifices of many. Today, you have the opportunity to honor that legacy and show your constituents that you value American liberty by passing this resolution. The United Sovereign Americans website features informative videos explaining the anomalies and apparent illegal violations found in Florida and other states. I encourage you to visit the website at uniteforfreedom.com. That's unite4freedom.com to learn more about our organization. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Good afternoon. And I'd like to say a special thank you to all of y'all for serving as commissioners of Seminole County, and thank you on behalf of our group for your attention to our concerns that we've been expressing. So,
absolutely.
Hi, I'm Lane Johnson. I'm at 172 Williams Road, and that's in the city of Lake Mary. The group would like to see the Bill of Rights Sanctuary County Ordinance adopted. Is made up of many, many people that represent the thoughts and concerns of your Seminole County constituents. This group continues to grow as we speak to more and more groups, and those people join and also bring like-minded friends. It's not easy for many of these people to make a Tuesday afternoon Board of County Commissioners meeting, as many have an 8-to-5 job with limited time off. But many of these people are so concerned and yes, afraid of what's happening in this world that they're actually taking their precious vacation hours to be here at some of the meetings. And I thank the ones that are here today, and there are a lot of valuable people that are not here as well, so probably more that are not here. But what are these people currently so concerned and afraid of? Here's an update in case you are not following just what just happened with the World Health Organization and international health regulators. This is from Dr. Robert W. Malone, a medical doctor who helped develop the mRNA technology many years ago that was used in the COVID injections. Dr. Malone also, from the beginning, spoke out against this technology being used for the COVID injections because it never passed testing. Here are some excerpts from his article entitled WHO International Health Organization Regulations from June 3rd. In a frantic last-minute rush, modified international health regulations were illegally approved by the most recent World Health Assembly. The 77th meeting of the World Health Assembly concluded Saturday, June 1st, 2024. This particular assembly meeting, the first following the COVID crisis, failed to achieve agreement on wording or passage of a proposed World Health Organization pandemic treaty, also referred to as an agreement. In blatant disregard for established protocol and procedures, sweeping IHR amendments were prepared behind closed doors and then both submitted for consideration and accepted by the World Health Assembly, quite literally in the last moments of a meeting, which stretched late into Saturday night, the last day of the meeting schedule. There was no actual vote to confirm and approve these amendments. According to the WHO, this was achieved by consensus among this unelected insider conclave rather than a vote. Countries agreed by consensus to amend the international health regulations, which were last changed in 2005, such as by defining the term pandemic emergency and helping developing countries to gain better access to financing and medical products. A WHO statement reported, continuing that countries agreed to complete negotiations on the pandemic accord within the year at the latest. Sherry will continue the update.
Hi, I'm Sherry Johnson, 172 Williams Road, Lake Mary. Continuing the WHO IHR update. Representatives from many WHO member nation states were not in the room, and the ones that were, they were encouraged to keep quiet. After the non-vote, there was giddy celebration of this achievement. The current WHO director, General Tedros, is neither a physician nor a trained public health or epidemiology specialist, but rather is an Ethiopian microbiologist, malaria researcher, and politician. The hastily approved IHR consolidate virtually unchecked authority and power of the Director General to declare public health emergencies and pandemics as he/she may choose to define them, and thereby to trigger and guide allocation of global resources, as well as a wide range of public health actions and guidance. These activities include recommendations relating to persons, baggage, cargo, containers, conveyances, goods, and postal parcels. But based on earlier draft language of proposed IHR amendments and the WHO Pandemic Accord, are likely to extend to both invasive national surveillance and mandated public health interventions, such as vaccines and non-pharmaceutical interventions such as social distancing and lockdowns, not to mention the continuing weaponization of public health messaging via censorship of dissenting voices and liberal use of the fear-based tactics known as information or psychological bioterrorism to mobilize public opinion in favor of WHO objectives. The negotiations regarding the proposed pandemic agreement have been extended. The next negotiation session is scheduled for sometime in July 2024. In order for the United States to be exempted from this agreement, Joe Biden or an authorized United States representative will need to write a document to the World Health Organization to remove the United States. To many, this looks like a setup of a repeat pandemic with a new disease. Currently, the state of Florida has nothing in place to pass legislation to reject the WHO amendments to IHR based on the illegality of the process and violation of Article 55. Seminole County residents need to be provided with a calm, steady hand after the mismanaged major public health catastrophe and global trauma which all have experienced over the last 4 years in this country. What assurance can you provide to your Seminole County constituents today that we're not going to go down this path again with a new disease? How would you handle it differently? The link to the full article is provided where you can find what the United States has silently agreed to. This agreement will impact Seminole County, and I will email that out for you so you can actually link to it and not have to type it all in. Here are some of the people that couldn't make it today.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
I gave her some too.
We have a whole stack of them. That'd be great. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you all very much. And thank you all very much for your patience. I know we got a little long this afternoon. We had quite an agenda today, so we sincerely appreciate your patience. I know many of you have been sitting there for a couple hours waiting for us to get through the process, but we thank you very much. Commissioner Lockhart.
I actually have a question for Mr. Shepner. It was a follow-up from our briefing the other day. I think we're talking about two different things. We've got the sanctuary county.
Yes, two different things.
Yeah, you got,
right.
Yes.
And
one's an election thing.
So Mr. Shepner spent time with me the other day and talking about his presentation today, and I had a couple of questions that I don't know if you were able to get the answers to, but one was I asked if we could have the actual audit made available to us rather than excerpts from it. Were you able to get the audit?
Okay. The statistics that I shared with you were from a data analysis for the state of Florida. More importantly, and probably more appropriately, would be the statistics for Seminole County. I'm at 80% of that right now. I'm going through that. I should have those within the week. They would be much more relevant than statewide statistics, but I can provide both of those to you. In regards to the actual data analysis, the data analysis team is willing to sit down with an IT team and walk them through the process because it covers more than 75 SQL statements in order to put the findings together. It's not a complete comprehensive report per se.
Okay, and you're getting into IT speak. So what was referenced in the presentation was an open source audit, and so that's why I was just asking if the audit would be made available. So it sounds like it's.
I can certainly provide you the findings of that data analysis. Yes. But how we went from the two government files to the findings.
Yeah, I want somebody to explain to me how it was done.
That's the internal process, right?
Yeah. So if those folks who did that would be willing to take the time to explain to me how they came to their findings, I'm interested in the how we got here, not just the results. And I think our county staff can attest that I am a royal PETA when it comes to this sort of thing. It's certainly not just about this topic. It's about every topic, I assure you. So I don't want to just see the baby. I want to find out how the baby was made. Maybe not exactly.
Rightfully so.
I'm going to say, if you had to figure that one out already, I don't know. You've got to.
Yes, ma'am. We can set that up.
That would be fantastic. The other thing that I know that we discussed, and it was a little concerning to me having served on the canvassing board, is that there, in part of your presentation, which was not made today, but there was reference to a number of duplicate ballots by duplicate voters. And the reason that is a concern to me is that I thought we had secret ballots. So I don't know how the auditors would have known who was, if there were multiple ballots from the same person. When you serve on the canvassing board, you know that if it's a mail-in ballot, the the envelope with the voter's identification is separated immediately from the ballot, and the people counting the ballots don't have access to know who it was. So if they're auditing the end results, there's no, I don't know how what the identifier would have been that would have identified these as being the same voter, because the last I checked, no one's supposed to know who's voting how. So that was another question that I had for those individuals, if you could make them available to me as well.
None of it has to do with how they voted. All of it has to do with whether they voted once or twice.
But you would not know.
And I share the same concern as Commissioner Lockhart. I sit on the canvassing board and have been through the canvassing training. And there is, I don't know of a way how I can identify Commissioner Lockhart's ballot from Joe Smith's. There's nobody's name on it. When the ballots come in, mail in, they're separated. The envelopes are verified for signature, separated from the ballot. The ballot has nobody's name on it, has nobody's initials on it. So I'd like to understand how somebody is alleging a duplication of my ballot occurred, or anybody else's for that matter. Yeah. And the ballots have checksums to ensure that if a duplication has already entered the machine to be counted, it's kicked out through the checksum process. So I don't know how. Now,
Pat might have additional information.
You're not going to get an argument from me. There are some irregularities in the election process in this country, in certain jurisdictions.
I wouldn't interrupt. That'd probably be a bad idea. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I answer your question or no?
Go ahead. I'll give you the latitude real quick.
Sorry. When I was canvassing with Defend Florida in Seminole County in 2021, 2022, there were several occurrences where it actually has to do with the voter rolls, that there are multiple people that are duplicates on the voter rolls in different counties that are voting. And so that has been documented, that people with the same information, same birth date, same name, different addresses, voting in different counties.
So to give you an example, I could share a personal example of exactly what you're talking about. My younger brother, who was a resident of Brevard County, moved to Iowa. He was still registered in Brevard County. He registered in Iowa. When he went to vote in Iowa, they questioned and said, "You're still registered in Florida. Are you voting in Florida?" And then notified Brevard County he was voting in Iowa, not to allow voting in Brevard County. Now, that's a personal experience that I'm aware of, but again, I don't know how this audit is going to put Jay Zembauer on a certain date in Seminole County with Jay Zembauer in Metro-Dade County has voted in the same election on the same ballot with different addresses and all that. So I'm very interested in understanding how that's being vetted out to understand that. Commissioner Herr.
So in a different setting, I'm familiar with these open source audits. I do it on pharmacy claims, or I do it on medical claims. And so I do want to understand, and I do want to have the IT department sit down side by side and understand. And it may not be our IT department. We may need to find somebody that understands, I'm not insulting the IT department, but understands the ability to find raw data and then source it into parsable, researchable information. I don't believe you need a name on a ballot. I believe there's other ways to put identifiers on a piece of paper that's going through a scan machine.
Right.
And it maybe doesn't tie back to how you voted or who you were, but it can tie back to duplication. And so I do see possibilities here for understanding better and for potentially quality improvement in the process. There's no process where humans are involved where we can't improve quality. And that just has to be the basis of this in order to understand it. So I appreciate the initial question, and do understand the response of, we need to understand exactly how it was performed, how the data was pulled, because the source of the data is as important as the outcome. Because if the source wasn't the right source or the right day or the right hour of the day, then it's invalid. And I will tell you that Iowa may do that, but I can darn well give you family stories about New Jersey not doing it.
Understood. No.
New Jersey doesn't care how many states you go.
And I believe, no. Well, and I think in there lies the problem, and I think it's beyond our level to change federal election law. That is at a much higher level than what we are. I have a core belief that we should have consistent across this country, that everybody is treated the same and equally, but each state is also sovereign from federal regulations to a certain extent, and it's always been left up to the states to run their own election program with oversight of the federal election laws. So is everything being followed across this country? I think we all would agree it's not. And it's not the same here as it is in New York or Pennsylvania or Nevada or California or wherever it might be. I think we all agree there's a lot of room for improvement, error, and so forth. Commissioner Lockhart.
One last comment, because I don't think there is one of us up here who doesn't want to be sure that everyone voting in an election is a valid voter and eligible to vote. That has to be a non-negotiable. I think every one of us wants to understand the concerns and have access to the data, and as Commissioner Herr and Commissioner Zembauer stated, and just to put another pin in what Commissioner Zembauer just said, this board may be very much concerned and able to listen and able to give advice and feedback, but this board does not have jurisdiction over the supervisor of elections and the processes, over the state secretary of state, the division of elections. That's not what this board does. So I just want to be really clear that the ask may be the right ask. It may be of the wrong board. It doesn't mean that we're not concerned about free and fair elections.
I would agree with you that the supervisor of elections is charged with managing and overseeing the elections. However, the supervisor of election has refused to meet with me and discuss anything. So that's one issue. The second point is that y'all are the governing body for this county. Elections are executed at the county level, even though we're following federal and state statutes. Each county carries out those in little uniquely different ways. There's 67 counties, 67 SOEs. They all do it slightly different. If you look at the results and how they do it, get into the processes, it's all done differently. And what I'm suggesting is not to bring in any new legislation, to change any legislation. I'm looking at executing the legislation more consistently to the intent of the legislation.
Understood.
So
thank you.
I think we understand, and what I will share, sir, is what is consistent across all 67 counties is the SOEs are constitutional officers not under the control of the Board of County Commission, elected by the people in a given county. We cannot tell the SOE how to run an election. We can't tell them what to do with ballots. We can't tell them what time to open and close. We can't tell them any of those things. That is a constitutional officer that really should be taken up with the Secretary of State that actually oversees that, and or the governor. We have some budgetary oversight, but that's about the extent of it. I mean, they're their own separate constitutional officer. So I think across all 67 states, that's the nexus of the fact this should be dealt with perhaps at a state level with Secretary of State and the governor.
Well, this is being addressed at the state level, and you probably will hear more about that in the near future. The last point that I wanted to make is that as county commissioners, you're not devoid from our election process. under Florida statutes, you do certain things. You mentioned about approving the SOE's budget. Under the statute, you are a member of the canvassing board. You approve the precinct boundaries for the voting. I have a list, not with me right here, but I have a list of all those statutes and all those references where you as county commissioners play an active role in our election process.
We do, but we don't control what you're asking us to control at the end of the day. I don't disagree with what you exactly just said.
My last comment is that I would love to be able to meet further in any venue and dig further deeper into this and provide you the information and insight that you're asking for.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Delary.
Thank you. Dennis, thank you for your presentation and the time that I met with you in my office. It was very informative. And I think the next step is to do exactly what Commissioner Lockhart spoke about, getting that data so we can actually not do data mining, but actually understand it. And I think once that happens, then we can go in the appropriate direction. And I think that's the segue that we should be taking.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be in contact so that we can set that up.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right.
No,
County
sir.
Attorney, County Manager, anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
Fellow commissioners, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.